Do not complain one bit. Absolutely. So, Ellie, I would really, really love for you to give us maybe an introduction into, why we should start selling Athene annuities, why they're, the best in the business, and then there's those two different products I really wanted you to touch on because that's mostly what we're focusing on, the Performance Elite, the Ascent Pro bonus. But, go ahead, take it away.
Perfect. 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 I'll try and talk. I'm a talker, right? So if it goes over the next minute or so, well, I guess we're here at 11:02 now, so no big deal. We made it. Perfect. My name is Ellie Mindrup. I work at Athene Annuities. I've been with Athene for probably, well, I mean, it's coming up on 7 years. I suppose we can't talk about it, so we hit the 7 year mark. So we'll go with 6.5 instead. I have worked in the sales as an IW for about the last 3 years. So that's kind of my background here at Athene. Why Athene? Well, if you haven't heard about Athene, give it another week and start looking in the news because you'll probably hear something about us. If you haven't already heard about us, I'm assuming everybody has, right? So when you issue as much business as what we have in the last couple of years, if you haven't at least taken a look at our company to kind of find out what we're doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it just a little bit different. So we can issue as much business as what we have been issuing. Absolutely. I highly encourage you to hang out with us. Just getting into some of that, I'm going to share my screen here real fast with you guys, just so that way you can see it. And then we can talk about some additional information. So hopefully you see my face twice, or you see me animated in one and not animated in the other one. Hopefully Harry Potter, thank you, has not taken over my photo. But if it has, that's super cool. And I want somebody to grab a screenshot of it if my face starts moving on the other one, because that's going to be something to talk about. My information is on your screen. My email address is out there anyway. If you need something, feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, been here for 6.5 years, so lots of experience with Athene. And if you have a case that's stuck or is not moving forward, or you get an IGO requirement that you're not sure what exactly the heck they're talking about, reach out to me. I can find that answer for you or give it to you relatively quickly. Always happy to help. I'll put my information back up on the bottom of the screen as we kind of move forward. But just to kind of go over, there we go. That's this is the other reason why to write Athene, right? So I knew some of that would kind of pop up in the presentation that I prepared up here for you. So just in general assets and liabilities, lots of dollars that we're talking about there. We are an A plus rated company, or an A1 rated company, whatever it is. So we really kind of pride ourselves on the holdings, or the ratings, where you don't have to purchase anything or give them any money for them to rate your company. So that's why we really like these ones and we advertise these ones. So huge difference in some of your lower rated carriers to when they get to be a rated carrier. So there's a spot for everybody. So it may just be that whatever your client specific needs are, maybe Athene doesn't offer it. So I mean, it's always great to have all of the companies in your playbook. So just kind of keep that in mind. But this is the big reason why to write Athene, right? We have those great ratings that are coming through, the liabilities and the assets that are out there. Here's another slide for you. We're number one in total annuity sales for sure for at least the last 2 years. And we're number one in fixed annuity sales as well. And we do it on a very lean margin. So that way we can turn around and give your clients and you commissions, and your companies that you work for overrides, and your client great renewal histories and great writing, and just great bonuses. So we're going to kind of jump through some of that and the two products that I have to talk to you about today. But in case anybody is wondering, I'll send the slides out as well, just so you have them on the backside. But this is the timeline of what Athene looks like, right? Where did we start? Where did we come from? Where are we at today? And kind of the major transitions that have happened over time. You don't necessarily have to know every single thing that's out here for this particular slide, but it's just nice because sometimes your clients will ask you, hey, I've never heard about Athene. Can you tell me anything more about them? Um, first off, Google, right? That's a great place to start if your clients are looking for some information. But if not, come back out to this slide and grab this because you can see those kind of transitions. It'll help, maybe explain who Athene is to your clients. So if that's, something that you need more of it on, or you need something else in addition to that, feel free to reach out to me. I can get you information or brochures on the Athene company as a whole, just that way you have it. But you guys all sell the product to your clients every day, and typically there's four reasons why your clients are looking for an annuity. Some of them can be overlapping, but a majority of the reason why we're a company in general and why we're selling products is the fact that the clients are looking for something, right? They're looking for income, they're looking to grow it, or they're looking to stack up that accumulation on it, right? They're looking for that legacy play. And most importantly, they're always looking for protection. They want to get it out of the market and they want to secure up those funds. So, how do we do that? We do that with an annuity, and we do it with different kinds of annuities. So, we're going to talk about two of them today. And I'm going to run through them pretty quickly. So, I just ask that if you guys have a question or if you want more information, if you type it into the chat, I probably won't look at it until the end of the presentation. So if it's really super important, just kind of scream the question out at me. I promise you can interrupt me because I talk a lot. So interrupt, let me know what questions you have as we're kind of buzzing through them. I should be able to hit most of them here, but as they're popping up, either put them in the chat and we'll take over later, or like I said, just fire them off at me and we'll go through it. So the first product that we're going to look at is the Performance Elite product. It has three different time versions. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. So we have a 7, 10, and a 15-year surrender schedule on it. There's actually two different versions of this product. There's a base version and a plus version. So we're going to talk about those and the differences as we go through. So if that's the question, why is something the way that it is? I'm pretty good at covering it. So bear with me just maybe one or two more slides if that's your question. It surely will come up or I'll address it at some point. But if not, again, fire away at me. So this particular product, when we were talking about the four different things that your clients are looking for. So this slide here, when we were talking about this, the product that we're going to talk about first, this Performance Elite product, is going to be a great one for accumulation, protection, potentially a legacy play. Not much on that legacy, not much additional on that legacy side of it. But for sure, this particular product is going to hit the accumulation and the protection side. So in that scenario, it's got great industry or crediting industry leading terms that and strategies that you can get involved in. I like this product, especially for people who are maybe a little bit younger or a little bit more into investments. This product feels like one that would pair really well with a managed account on the backside of it. So if they already have those sorts of things, maybe you're just moving a portion of the money and securing up a portion of it in the Performance Elite product. So like I talked about, two different versions, three different time frames that you can do this product. So you have the base version is going to be on this side of it, and then you have a plus version, and it's going to come over here on the other side. So that's the difference between there's a couple of different things that are going to be your drivers between your base version and your plus version, but you'll see right off the top. The biggest difference here is going to be what kind of a bonus your client is going to get. What I can tell you is that this bonus also is going right into the accumulation value. So your client gives you $100,000 and they want to go into a Performance Elite 7 and they're in this most states category, they're going to receive a zero interest or a zero bonus that's going to go into it. But if they're on that base version, they give you $100,000, they're immediately going to issue with this percentage that's going to be added up. So if they're in one of these most states category and they have a version where they're going to give you $100,000, we're going to immediately issue the policy with $116,000. So right from day one, they get that into their accumulation value. They do have to vest into it in order to keep the bonus over time. So that's something for you, for your clients to be aware of. But that's the biggest difference here between your base version and your plus version. There are going to be some other ones that I'm going to get into, and it's going to be a couple of slides away, but I'll talk about those differences between the base version and the plus version. But just know the plus version, starting off the bat on the very tip, it's going to get a higher bonus. So it is going to come with a fee, but you get that higher bonus on the front side of it. So we'll circle back around to that one. Did talk about the, let me move that pointer off of your screen there. Did talk about those higher caps and higher participation rates. This one has a lot of different options for your clients. So it's going to be a situation where, let's just move forward onto that next slide. So we have these different indexes that you can see on your slide there. So I have what, 7 of them in front of you. And this is where I start to feel like a late night infomercial host. So bear with me. I promise we'll get through it. But we have these options here. So you have those, and then within that, you have a 1-year option and a 2-year option. So your 1-year options are going to be up top. So those are 1-year point to points. Your lower categories are going to be 2-year point to points. You'll notice we don't have a 2-year option for the S&P, and I don't know that anybody has a 2-year option. Maybe they do. So 2-year options in this product for S&P are not going to be an option for you. But if that wasn't enough for you, a 1-year option and a 2-year option for all 7 indexes, there's a little bit more. So you'll see that within each one of these categories, you're also going to get a no charge option and a with charge option. So you can definitely mix and match these for your client. You can make them custom. Your client can get out there if they are that savvy and they like to do the research and they want to learn about them. They can get out there. They can take a look at it. 1-year options, 2-year options, with a fee, without a fee. They can mix and match and they can do a lot with it without getting too far outside of the scope. I like in this product a lot of times with like 401k type people, if they're used to getting in and changing their allocations within their 401k, this may be very familiar to them because they're going to be given a certain amount of options, but not too many that they can kind of get too far outside of their scope. So that's kind of what this one feels like to me, where you can definitely get in and customize it and make it your own. Matter of fact, if you don't like these options, but wait, there's more. Athene did it for you. So we have a strategy preset option. I promise that's the last time I'm going to say, but wait, there's more. But we have created a strategy preset option where we have tasked our actuary folks and we've said, can you please give us the ideal blend? What's going to be the optimum blend to try and secure a rate of return in some capacity? It may not be, 20% every year, but if we could guarantee, at least something coming into the account, what would that look like? So this is what our accountants or our actuary folks have come up with. It's called strategy preset. We have taken our 6 blends of our signature allocations and we've given them all a percentage. And then we've taken this one step further and we've said, we're going to give them 3 different versions of this. I lied, but wait, there's more. There's 3 different versions of it. Sorry. So with that, what you have is your conservative, your balanced, and your growth. Your conservative blend, just like what it sounds, is going to be your more conservative clients. This is going to be using those 1-year point-to-point strategies that I was talking about. That same blend is what this, if it's going to load, maybe it's not. All right, fine. We'll move past it. That same 6-way split on the strategies, it's going to be the same, but we have a conservative blend, which is going to be 1-year option. We have a balanced blend, which is going to be using 2-year options. Both the conservative and the balanced are going to go with that no fee category. And then there's a growth option. The growth option is going to be using all 2-year indexes. And then you'll see right here at the very bottom, it's going to be using the ones for a fee. So when we're talking about for a fee strategies, I forgot to point out on that slide, the for fee strategy option is a 1.25 charge. So 1.25 charge add-on for any dollars that are in that strategy preset or not preset strategy charge option. So anybody in that growth category is going to have that 1.25% charge while you're in this preset option. Once you get into the preset option, you can't get out of the preset option. So whichever option of the preset I shouldn't say you can't get out of it. Once you get out of it, you can't get back in it. That's a better way to phrase it. Sorry about that. So if you're going to be able to elect this at issue, that's the only time that you'll have a preset option. Anytime after preset, you would only be given the option to stay in the preset. You could get out of it like I said, once you get out of it, you will be done with the preset. It won't be an option anymore for you. We can still manually do it on the back side of it, and I can show you how to do that. Matter of fact, it's coming up in a few slides that I'll show you how to go over that. So with
Can I jump in and ask a quick question?
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, hit me.
So I just wanted to clarify the only difference between the charge and no charge options here is being able to utilize these strategy presets. So you could effectively set up the same thing manually without utilizing the charges.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
The preset is just that Athene is going to do it for you. So let me advance it here one slide. What's going to be the difference between you doing it manually and Athene doing it for you is that at the contract anniversary, Athene is going to rebalance. So in this scenario that's on your screen now, your client was given $3,975 in interest off of that initial 100,000 that we were given. They were in a conservative blend on that preset. So what happens is the interest comes in, and it doesn't matter what strategy it came in from. We're going to rebalance and reallocate it back down to these 20, 20, 20, 15, 15, 10 split. And we're going to do that for you. So you and your client never miss that opportunity or that open window to change your strategies. So this is going to be that Athene's going to take care of it for you. You can absolutely reallocate this and rebalance it and get back into it, or set it up yourself for your client if you wanted to. It's just that you're going to have to be the one to maintain it and rebalance it going forward. Athene won't do it for you, even though we'll recognize that you're using the preset strategies. We just won't do it for you. So that's the big difference, is that if you're going to do it yourself, you would have to maintain it yourself for your client. Yeah.
Understood. And to clarify, that's an additional 1.25 charge you said for the client?
1.25 if they're in the growth sector or in that growth one. If they're in the balanced or conservative, there's no charge.
Understood. Thank you.
Cool.
And
Thanks.
just to even clarify further, you're probably going to be getting to this. Maybe I'm skipping ahead, but the
You have to say spoiler alert if you're going to skip ahead. I'm just kidding.
Just the participation rates being a lot higher for the growth.
Yeah.
That's coming up.
Yep.
Awesome.
I've got those slides coming up.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Perfect. Good call out though. Awesome. So with this, we talked about being in a 2-year strategy. And when we go into a 2-year strategy here at Athene, we like to ladder them. If you're unfamiliar with laddering strategies, here's what a kind of slide is going to look like, or what a 7, 10, or 15-year slide is going to look like over the course of it. So we'll split it into 2 buckets, bucket 1 and bucket 2. Bucket 1 is immediately going to go into a 1-year strategy. I know we talked about it being in 2 years, but you'll see after that first year, we're going to move it over into that 2-year strategy. And then it'll be in a 2-year strategy going forward until bucket 2 then comes out and goes into a 1-year strategy. So at the end of the 7, 10, or 15 years, you'll see that we're fully into 1-year strategies at that point. So that way you and your client can manage it going forward. We won't leave them in the preset after their end of their surrender term. We will take them out of that preset strategy. And then, like I said, we just won't rebalance and reallocate it after that point. So again, bucket 1, bucket 2, it's really kind of an easy thing, but that's kind of how it's going to go out for you. So that'll happen. Like I said, we will maintain it, we'll reallocate it, we will rebalance it. But here's what it looks like in, if you don't like it in the laddered strategies, here's what it looks like in actual strategies. So again, if you have a client currently not in a strategy preset and you want to try it with a strategy preset, here's the breakdown for you of what those look like. And the reason why the balanced and the growth have a second option is because of that laddered strategy thing. Remember, we talked about on that last slide where bucket 1 is going to go into a 1-year point to point, and bucket 2 is immediately going to go into a 2-year point to point. So this top upper one up here would be your bucket 1, your lower one would be your bucket 2, and then your bucket 1 would flow over into your bucket 2. So this one, your upper stuff up here would eventually be the opposite of your 2-year strategy, and they would go every other year. Your client would see a credit of interest every year, and that's why we ladder them. So that's how the split actually happens out on it. Like I said, you'll get the slide, so you can definitely, if you want to set anybody up on it, on the backside of it, you've got it there for you. Getting into those strategies and what those look like. Here are your no charge options. So on your left-hand side of your screen are your no charge, and there on your right-hand side of your screen are going to be with your charge. This is for your Performance Elite 7. I have the 10 and the 15 coming up here. So you'll see that there is a definite difference between those participation rates. I also like to call out here that the 1.25% charge does not guarantee a rate of return. It just guarantees that if you're going to get a rate of return, you're going to have a higher payout factor or participation rate on the backside of it. So that's kind of what that looks like. But just moving on, here is your for your participation rates. Again, no charge and with a charge. And then your 15-year version, no charge versus with a charge. So that's kind of where that sits at. A lot of people don't like the strategy charge because they feel like it's going to be something that it's definitely going to pull your client value down. But what I'm here to tell you is that Athene, with this particular product, we do have a true up portion. I don't know what else to what other word to use there, but if your client is in that preset option or in any strategy that has the charge, and ultimately at the end of it, the policy hasn't created enough income or enough interest to overcompensate or overcome that preset charge or any of the strategy charges, even if you're not in that preset, Athene will kind of true it up and make sure that they are made whole. We do this because we don't see it very often that this is a scenario. So we believe in the product, we believe in the preset, we believe in the strategy charge. So that's why we offer this out there as well. So if that is a concern of your client, they don't want to go into that charge because they're worried it's going to drag down their value. Initially, it will. But at the end of it, if they see that if we do the audit on it and we find that it wasn't enough interest to overcome that, then we will make it whole for the client again. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But to
Can I
talk
jump in
about,
real quick?
yeah,
With one more question.
yeah,
Sorry, I feel like this was probably self-explanatory, but I'm very new to annuities, and I want to make sure I understand.
yeah,
If you go back one slide. So to
the
clarify
crediting.
right. So to
Okay,
clarify what the participation rates here, like for that first 2-year point-to-point strategy, or even the 1-year point-to-point strategy, the AI-powered global opportunities index, the
yeah,
130% participation rate with no charge. To make sure I'm understanding that properly, if that index goes up 10%, the client's being credited with 13%. Is that
you got
correct?
it. Yep.
Okay, that just seemed crazy to me, and I think clients are going to think that's insanely profitable, and I just want to make sure I understood that properly. Thanks.
You got it. It is crazy, and it's what we do.
Also, Ellie,
Yeah,
I'm a big proponent for the strategy charge, just because, I mean,
yeah.
in your opinion, why would it ever make sense to not do a strategy charge? Because like every illustration I've ever ran, it's always going to outperform any charge. So like, why would it ever make sense to not do a charge?
Um, I would caution you with it just because you are going to hit a client at some point that doesn't want a fee, doesn't believe in them, refuses to answer to it, doesn't want you to talk to them about it. They just don't like fees. The word on the street, right, is that annuities are very heavy in fees, and that they're complicated and they're whatever else. So if you encounter that client that says absolutely not, I hate paying fees, I don't want to do anything with it, 100% go into a no charge category. I get that side of it. Otherwise, if your client's fine with paying the fee, especially knowing that Athene's going to make it whole if it isn't, I would say absolutely going with the strategy charge fee is not a bad play.
Especially
Can
with
you
the fact that you would accommodate for like potential losses.
You
I
got it.
mean, I guess the only situation I guess would be if someone just is being stubborn about it. But
You
besides
got it.
that, I mean, like, it would probably always make sense to do a strategy charge just because of the potential growth.
Right. Right.
Can you go back
And
one more slide as well, please?
because it can also
Sorry.
stack
Thank
up
you.
really, really quickly in those. I mean, you can see it, right? The difference between 140 and 195. Again, in
It's
Michael's
huge.
scenario, your client gets a 10% rate of return, which is absolutely possible. That means that they're getting 14% credited into their account versus 19 and a half. Well, what better story is it to say, hey, I almost got 100 or I got 20% credit into my strategies? That'd be beautiful. Every client would want that. And then you talk about the fee, and then that's where you're going to lose some of your clients.
Do you have, and last question, sorry, I'll stop interrupted so much.
No,
Do you have a spot that we would be able to see past performance on all these different indexes over the last 5 to 10 years?
yes,
Okay.
it's on our website. Yep, it's under the Index Resource Center. And actually, on this particular product, I can include that when I send it out. But we have a renewal rate history for this product. So I'll send out that flyer as well when I send out the slides. Just that way you guys have that.
So
Thank you.
you were saying if
Yeah.
the indice does zero, like let's just say an indice does 0%, and they still get charged a 1.25% strategy charge, right? But
Correct.
if they get charged more interest or on the strategy charge than what they made, you guys make it
Yep.
okay.
If they've paid out more in the 1.25% charge to have the fee on there and the total credit of interest that's coming back into it. So in this scenario, they had $15,000 that they paid out in strategy charges, and they only were credited for the life of the policy 13,000. So then at that point, what we're going to do is we're just going to true it back up. So that way, we're going to give them that $2,000 back. So that way, everything comes back up, and they're not out any money because of that fee.
How
Gotcha. So
often do
they
you actually see that happen?
Not very often. That's why we offer it.
Is that true up every single year? So let's say
No,
somebody,
just at the end of the surrender charge.
gotcha. Okay.
Yep, it's just a one-time credit where so it'll average it out over you will have those clients that are going to come to you and they're going to say, well, for the last 2 years, I've paid a surrender or I've paid a strategy charge and I've gotten a zero credit of interest. I thought you were going to true up the account. We will, but we'll do it at the end because we want to see if it's going to be overall, if you're not getting interest into the account over the whole 7, 10, or 15 years, then that's when we'll make it whole for your client.
So I guess it's not as good then if a client wants to have it more liquid and take withdrawals maybe like every year. That's
They'll still look at it and they'll go with the
yeah.
overall strategy charge that they're paying versus how much interest that they've gotten at the end of the end of the surrender charge.
Right, right. But like it's
Yeah,
not ideal then. It's not ideal for like a client that wants to have it more liquid and maybe take withdrawals every single year.
it'll probably be harder for them to calculate on their side, but
Yeah.
they can
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
their statements and do it too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely harder for those clients that get in a strategy charge and then get out of it and then get in it another year later. And then, so I mean, it's a lot harder for them to kind of monitor it on their side. But we keep a running tally of it on our side just to make sure that they are fully covered. And then we know whether or not we're going to have to true up the account.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. So that's kind of the strategies on the product itself. So if we talk about, we're going to go back now to, I told you that there's differences between the plus version and the base version. So this product is going to be a little bit different on the base version. What you're going to get, we always do RMDs, and I think every company is probably going to do their RMDs because that's what we have to do. Terminal illness and confinement waiver, of course, are going to be available after the first year for for the whole product, base or plus version. What you're going to see is some differences here. So I'd like to point this out on the Performance Elite 10 and 15. You're going to have zero free withdrawal that first year, and you're going to have 5% free withdrawal going forward until the end of the 10 or the 15 year. Now, this is just about the base version. I'm not talking about the plus version yet. That's on the bottom half of that chart there. So this is just for that base version. If they do not take the 0.95% charge, they would receive on the 10 and 15 zero penalty free in year one, 5% free going forward until the end of the surrender term. If it's a Performance Elite 7, you'll see that it automatically gets that 10% free withdrawal on it. I'm going to come back to why that is in just a second. So if you're looking at your Performance Elite Plus, we call this a liquidity rider. So everything we're going to do for that liquidity on the contract is going to be elevated. So hence the bonus on the first screen that we talked about earlier. With that plus version, you're going to get that higher bonus, which gets them higher 10% free withdrawals. It gets them higher, everything that you could possibly want. Everything's going to be elevated because that bonus is going to hit them on the front side of it. So that ultimately increases their liquidity to start with. Second thing we're going to do, that Performance Elite 10 and 15 are now going to move from a 5% category. We're going to increase that liquidity again, right? And we're going to give them 10% free withdrawals starting on year one. So that's going to be, it's going to bring the 10 and the 15 to the same category as what the 7 was already at. And then if you don't take a withdrawal the year before, it's going to roll up to a 20% free withdrawal. And then it'll stop at 20%. It's not going to continue to increase each year going forward, but it will stop at 20%. And then the last piece of it that's going to be out there is going to be a return of premium feature. So if your client gets to the start of the 5th contract year and says, you know what, this really isn't the product for me, I don't really like it. Whatever reason, it doesn't matter. The only thing they have to do is write us a letter and they can get everything back. They have to be in the plus version in order to have this option. So what that kind of looks like, let me jump into a few more slides here for you, and then I'll circle back to that Performance Elite 7 issue, I promise. So if we're looking at that 10% rolling up to 20% each year, so you have that 10% free withdrawal, and then it rolls up to that 20%. So that's going to be out there for your client. But let's look at it in a different kind of spectrum or a different look here. So this is your withdrawals taken on the top part of it, and then this is your contract year. So you'll see that in this particular client, they took a 0 withdrawal in the first year. So their penalty-free amount did bubble up to that 20% free withdrawal. They ended up taking the full 20% free withdrawal. So it came back down to 10%. And then in the 3rd year, they took a 5% free withdrawal. So then in the 4th year, they would only have access to 10% again. But let's say instead of them taking this 5% in year 3, let's say they did the same thing as the first year and took a 0% withdrawal. This 5% would increase to 20% the next year. So they would always have access to either 10 or 20%. The big key here is, did they take a withdrawal from the account the year before? Because if they did, then they'll only have access to 10% for that next year. So that's kind of how that works, but that you would only have access to this in that plus version because we're going to give them higher liquidity. If we talk about the return of premium feature, again, that's the $100,000 policy. So that's the whole premium here. After that 5th contract year, say the rate of return just wasn't coming in, wasn't what they wanted it to be, or maybe they made a mistake and they needed to now change it from an accumulation product into an income product because a spouse passed away or a parent didn't leave them as much money in their inheritance. I don't know what the situation may be. Maybe they just need to change it over to that income rider side of it. If that's the case, no problem. They can get out of this product. The only downside to it when they take the return of premium feature is that the policy does need to leave Athene. They can't do it and then write it into a new Athene product where they would have access to income or they would have access to the agility product, which is another one that we have. So they wouldn't be able to do it and internally replace it here at Athene. It would have to leave Athene if they're going to take the return of premium feature. So just kind of keep that in the back of your brain. So before I jump into the rest of it, I want to go back and talk about this 10% free withdrawal on the Performance Elite base. If we go, and the reason why. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about today was the difference between the 7, 10, and 15 and why a customer would go into each version. So you'll see that on the base version of the Performance Elite 7, where it gets a 10% free withdrawal without any questions, what doesn't it get? It doesn't get a bonus, right? So we're automatically giving there's other perks and privileges to those in the base version of the Performance Elite 7 as to why we're going to do what we do. We're giving them 10% free withdrawal because these bonuses on the 7-year product are really small. There's nothing on the base version for that product, and you're paying 0.95% for a 6%. It's not great. So that's why we're giving you those extra features up front. The other thing we're going to talk about is the participation rates on the Performance Elite 7. If you run an illustration between a 7 or a 10 and 15, you'll find that the participation rates, because they're higher, and here is the 10. If we just focus on the AI Go strategy, that very top one that's sitting right here, if you're in a Performance Elite 7, you're sitting at a 195% participation rate, or 245% with your strategy charge. If we look at your 10, you're getting 195 basis or participation, but you're paying the fee to get it. So we're giving them little things in the Performance Elite 7 that they're not getting in the 10 and the 15. But they're getting things in the 10 and the 15 that they're not able to get in the 7. So what's best for your client? Again, it just depends on what they're ultimately looking for. What I can tell you is that we have not raised our commission rates on the 7-year version either. So that's another deciding factor, and I get that. But the Performance Elite 7 is a smaller commission level for you guys. So we have to take it from somewhere. We're not giving you guys the commission. We're giving it back to your client in added features for that. The 15-year version, I will tell you, I'm just going to advance it here real fast and show you the states. But these are the states that the 15-year version is available in. And then these are your age grouping. So it's hard to tell which states are the darkest one. I think it's only Florida that falls into that, having to write it at age 64. I'd have to look it up on a different screen because I can't see it here. But if you could see the different colors, great. Your eyes are better than mine. But that's something to kind of pay attention to, is that not a lot of states are going to allow the 15-year version. So it just is an interesting position to kind of be in for that 15-year version. So this is kind of Performance Elite in a nutshell. Here's the comparison charts on what you get in the 7 or the base version versus what you get in the plus version. So again, I want to be able to get to the other products, so I won't waste a whole lot of time on these. Any questions on this particular product? Am I missing anything in the chat maybe?
Let me ask you this, Ellie, when it
Yeah,
comes down to a client looking for growth, right? We're doing Performance Elite most likely
yeah,
because they're looking to take their money out of risk and
yep,
just have to grow the crap out of it.
yep.
Why would it make more sense to do a 10 over a 7, let's say? Because I do like the 7 a lot due to the fact that it's
Mhm.
such high participation. So if someone's looking to grow their money, I mean the 7 would I can help them grow the most amount in the 7 with the most amount of
Correct.
liquidity with no charges. But
Yep.
why would it make more sense for someone to do maybe a 10 or a 15 opposed to that 7 if that's their underlying goal?
Sometimes you're just dealing with a client that's younger. I mean, if you have a client who's 50 years old, maybe they're not going to need the liquidity option. And they've got 10 or 15 years until they're going to retire or they hit 65, versus somebody who's already in their 60s and maybe they're looking to access the funds shortly after retirement. So if that's the case, maybe the 7-year version is the better option for them because they'll be out of it right after they retire or shortly after they retire, depending on how long people are going to work, right? So that's one of the deciders there. I think also the big thing is just how long people want to tie their money up. So I think those are kind of your deciding. Other than that, the Performance Elite 7 does have better index crediting options. So I think if your client doesn't care and the commissions aren't an option for you, or like it's not a factor on your side of it, it doesn't make a difference to you, then I would absolutely, say that the 7 is probably the better product just because the crediting rates are going to be so much higher.
Okay.
It's just that your client doesn't get any of the flashy stuff, Here's the
Absolutely.
other, speaking of the flashy stuff, here's the other prime reason why to do it. Because of your bonuses. Let me just throw them back up here for you because we're awfully proud of them. With your bonuses, you may have the situation where your client has, I don't know, maybe an 8% surrender loss at the other company. If that's the case and you need to get past that surrender loss, it may be that you have to go into the 10-year version, and it may be that you have to go into that plus as well. So those may be, depending on when your client wants to access money, you may have a 55-year-old client who says, hey, shortly after hitting 59 and a half, I'm going to start taking money out of this account. Then maybe going to a plus version where they can take 10% each year, even though they're under 59 and a half right now, it may be the ideal option to put them in that plus version so they get 10% access. So those are all kind of things to consider as well, is how much are they going to need and when are they going to need it? Another prime example, we're seeing a lot of 72 Ts right now. And what I can tell you, if you're going to use Performance Elite as a 72T or 72Q payment, 70, if you don't know what those are the payments that people can take when they're under 59 and a half, and they have to be equal payments for at least 5 years or until they hit 59 and a half. If that's the case, Performance Elite is not a great product for it because sometimes the 72T payments are higher than the 5% free withdraw. So you are avoiding the 10% penalty from the IRS, but you're still getting hit with penalties from Athene. So if that's the case and your client feels like they may need to do that 72 payment at any point, maybe going into a plus version, a 10 or a 15-year version would be an ideal spot for that as well.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
Another
Yeah.
additional question, and again, I feel like this is probably a basic one that I'm just not familiar
Are
with,
you
being
sure
new
you
to
don't write
annuities.
annuities? You ask really good questions. So I feel like you do write
I
annuities.
I've just got certified to sell annuities like a week ago, so I'm still learning as much as
Perfect.
possible.
I love
So
it.
for the Performance Elite 7, right after the
Yep.
surrender charge period, at that point, if a client wanted to continue to try to gain those participation rates, are they able to continue to leave their cash in after the surrender charge period, or would they need to roll that
Yes.
over into a new? They
Yep.
would be able to just leave it in, keep as long as they want it.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
got it.
Yep. Performance Elite is built to kind of go the distance with them. So yeah, their participation rates, as long as their participation rates stay exactly where they are, renewal rate history is going to, of course, play into some of that. So as long as all of that stays great, your client after the 7, 10, or 15 years is eligible to move it, but they don't have to. We have a lot of people
And
that leave them for whatever reason.
and it's only after the surrender charge period that if they wanted to switch from a Performance Elite to like an Agility, it's only after the surrender charge period that they'd be able to do that with no fees, correct?
Correct. Yep. And we have an internal replacement guideline that says they have to do it. They have to at least be in the policy for 5 years before we can replace it. So that would be an internal replacement would be after the 6th year instead of the return of premium feature, which is after the 4th year, start of the 5th. But so that may be a decider there as well. And then it just depends on whether or not they want to leave the product here with us. So that's gonna depend on whether or not they want to change over to one of our products. But we do have an internal replacement guideline that we can definitely take a look at if you have any clients that are thinking about that side of it. Commission is going to be the biggest thing as to whether or not you're going to want to replace it here with Athene or not.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So with that, One other thing that I forgot to point out, you were talking about surrender charges and that triggered it for me. I want to step back to, where is it at? This screen here. This liquidity rider, to get the plus version, it is a 0.95% charge. So there's two possible charges on this particular product. You have the 1.25 charge for the strategy, and then you have 0.95 or 95 basis points for the plus version. The strategy charge will not go away if your client ever goes into a strategy charge with it, or a strategy option with a charge. It will always be there, right? Whether it's past surrender or not. This 95 basis points is going to fall off after the surrender charge is done. So whether that's 7, 10, or 15 years, it doesn't make a difference. It is going to fall off after that time frame versus an income rider where it's going to stay on there the life of the life of the policy. So that's another interesting piece to kind of point out. The 95 basis points will fall off at some point. 1.25 will fall off if you are in a strategy without a fee. So they can kind of use those, the 1.25 interchangeably, right? Okay. So, and we were talking about bonus recapture a little bit. So here's your bonus recapture schedule. So the first year they're not vested into it at all. Second year they've got 5, and so on and so forth. So, or if you're in a 7 or 10, sorry, that's just the 7. I'll put the 10 and the 15 up next. There you go. So there's your bonus recaptures that are in there. So just like to kind of point that out as well, on those. And then that is going to take care of our performance elite. So if you have any questions about that, still fire those out here, but wanted to hit you with the Ascent Pro bonus product relatively fast here. Do we just have an hour? Is that right? Are we
You
done
know
at the top?
what? Just because I don't want to have you rush it too much, I do want a really good in-depth one of this. Maybe we could
Okay.
have you come on and maybe the next annuity week in 2 weeks
Yeah.
from now, and we can just do
Yeah.
a full scale review of the Ascent Pro bonus.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I can do Ascent Pro bonus and Agility together, which are our two income rider products.
Yeah.
Performance Elite just has got all those interesting little facets to it. So, I mean, if you want me to run through it now, I certainly can. But if you'd rather have me come back in a couple of weeks and then we can go through those income products a little bit more in depth.
100%. I think for the next maybe 10 minutes or so, we could just do questions. I'm sure
Keep
there's going to be
going.
at least
Yeah.
a few.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. Fire
for
away.
right now, does anybody have any questions at all about even just how to pitch the product, how to frame it when you're talking to someone, or like anything about just product knowledge, anything like that at all? You can just unmute
Can
if
be
you
about
do.
Athene too. I'm willing to take questions on that.
Yeah, we have 74 people on here. We're not going to hop off without a few questions.
How do you bring up annuities and like a pitch? How do you just bring it up to a client?
Absolutely, bro. So, whenever you're on a life insurance sale, whenever you're talking to a client, there's going to be a really, really important question to ask your client. Like, this is going to be the golden question, right? Like, you should incorporate this into your script. You should put a sticky note on your laptop and always be asking this question. It's, as you're talking to them about like maybe what they already have for their life insurance, you're going to ask them like, hey, like besides that one term policy you told me about, do you have anything else that might act as life insurance, that would pay out to your family if something happened to, for example, a 401k, TSP, IRA, a high yield savings, maybe just money under the mattress. You have anything just laying around that the family can depend on? And then from there, I mean, you're not coming from a point of like, hey, like, how much money you got? You're coming from a point of like, hey, I mean, besides that one term policy or that whole life policy you mentioned, what else do you have that might act as life insurance? So that is going to be the golden question. If you can ask that every time you're on any type of life insurance, it doesn't matter if it's mortgage, IUL, final expense, veteran, it really does not matter. Because once you ask that question, they're going to be like, yeah, you don't have a 401k laying around. Yeah, I do have a couple retirement accounts. Awesome. And then what does that kind of look like for you? Is that 401k, a TSP? And you just kind of dig a little bit. You're not necessarily trying to figure out exactly how much money they have sitting there, just more so if they do have any money sitting in there. Because if you're on a life insurance call with them, I mean, your priority is what? Is to sell them life insurance. Like get the policy sold, do what you need to do, make sure it makes sense for them on a monthly basis, fits their needs, they get approved for it. And then what you're going to be able to do is after you have that prior knowledge of them having some money laying around, maybe you did get a rough estimate of like, hey, like, not exact number, but hey, I mean, roughly how much you think you probably have sitting in that old 401k? I don't know, like 50,000, 100,000, 20,000, whatever it is. But now you just jot that information down, shut up about it, and then bring it up at the end of the phone call after you build this amount of trust and rapport with the client. You help them get the policy. It's like while you're solidifying, say, hey, am I pronouncing your name? Is it I don't want to mispronounce it. Sharon?
Close,
Awesome.
Sharon.
Hey, perfect. So you'll just literally tell them, it's like, hey, so I'm super, super excited that we were able to get you that policy today. We were able to get you approved for that with the living benefits, the whole life, the term, whatever it is. I did want to mention though, before I let you go here today, I mean, would it make sense if I could show you a quick strategy where we could take that old money you have laying around, take it out of risk of the market, even help you grow it tax deferred, and maybe even have it pay out tax free to your family if something happened to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So what we could do here is we could schedule something. I know, I've been talking your ear off for the past 30 minutes, what hour, whatever it is. What we could do here is we could schedule a time with my annuity specialist either later today or maybe sometime tomorrow. If you have maybe 15, 20 minutes, we can just review that. If the numbers make sense here, awesome. We can look at what the next steps would be. I mean, if the numbers don't make sense, I mean, it's no stress off my back. But yeah, I'm more than glad to see if we'd be able to help you out with that.
Okay. And then are you scheduling like just an appointment with them right off of that? So,
I mean, here's the thing is I would schedule something within the next 72 hours, like really make it immediate. I mean, assuming you just sold them a life insurance policy, you've been talking to them for the past 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it might be. Sometimes they just need a little bit of a break to process what they just did with you and whatever. And then you want to give them a call back, maybe later that night or the next day. That way you can, like, if you don't know exactly how to pitch the product and do all the sales process, you can get someone like myself, Cody, Wyatt, I mean, whoever that's good with annuities and knows how to sell them. Just give us a text or a call and say, hey, like, I have a potential appointment for tomorrow at 4 p.m. Like, do that work for you? Could you hop on with me? And like, it'll be that simple. I would hop on with you. We just review it with the client, say, hey, told me you have some, money laying around at risk in an old 401k. It's not really growing so well for you, or it's just sitting there at risk. And then a great question to ask them, like while you're on the phone, is like, hey, so that money you mentioned you had laying around, whatever it might be, like maybe like 50 to 100,000. How much of that are you willing to lose? And like they're gonna probably say zero every time. I don't want to lose any of it. Okay, so like maybe it would make sense if I could show you a strategy where we could take it completely out of risk, guarantee never to lose anything, and then even actually have it grow for you with the market pretty significantly. And God forbid something happened to you, it would pay out tax free to the beneficiaries, kind of like that life insurance policy we just got you set up. So this would act as a way to have your money grow for you and double as more life insurance. So you just build that small bit of value. You don't have to get really too into it. You'll just build that small bit of value where it's like you're just coming from a point of, hey, I just want to help. I'm not looking to sell you something else. I'm not looking to do whatever, but how much of that are you willing to lose? None. Well, maybe I could help. So you'll just set up a call, and for example, I would hop on with you. We would do the presentation. They're not one call closes, with annuities. We're talking larger amounts of money, so it'd be more so like just a general presentation, maybe one or two follow-ups, and then they make up their mind about it and we can get that deal closed. And throughout that process you'd be able to see like how it's presented, how an application is submitted, how an illustration is done, how it's walked through with the client, the verbiage used, and then you'd be able to kind of just do that on your own from there on out. And what I'll do for everybody as well, like if you do run into those situations, you don't have anybody else to reach out to, I will help you close any annuities you run into. I'm going to drop my number here in the chat. and you can just shoot me a text like, hey, I have a potential appointment tomorrow, whatever time, Tuesday, whatever time. And if I'm available, I'm gonna hop on with you and we're gonna get that closed for you, get you paid.
I'm gonna ask an additional question. I don't know if that one was fully answered just yet.
Yeah, yeah. Does that make sense, brother?
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, what's up, Michael?
I wanted to find out where could I locate, because I know you said one of the biggest determining factors on whether or not I wanted to get a client set up with additional Athene policies that are going to really just be based on commission. Where could I find a full commission chart? Because I see the one provided by FFL just shows the Elite Performance 10 and not the rest of them. So do you guys have that located on your site?
I have one, yeah. What I'll do is, are you in the first 90-day group chat?
I am not. I'll go ahead and just shoot you a text with my personal cell.
Send me a text. No, I got you, man. I'll send you that over.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
But honestly, the commission's not going to be the biggest factor. Like I really, really I really encourage everyone to put people over profits. At the end of the day, it's not about the underlying dollar amount you're going to get paid, whether or not you're going to help a client do one thing or another. It's about how can I put them in the best position possible long term, where I'm not worried about someone else coming in and getting them a better policy. Because here's the thing: is like if you don't put them in the best position, somebody will. Somebody will.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I was just curious, but 100% agreed.
100%. But this goes for like everybody because I mean, new agents, old agents does not really matter. At the end of the day, we're getting paid, just 100% commission. So it is important at the end of the day to also put your clients in the best position possible, even if that means you get paid a few dollars less. Just because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you get that extra little bit of a payout if someone else comes in like myself and is like, hey, I'm just a policy service director, just making sure you're not getting overcharged. Oh, I mean, it looks like you are. Or it's like, hey, it looks like that IUL wasn't structured correctly. It looks like you wanted a certain thing and someone didn't help you do that. I'm going to help you fix that today. And then all of a sudden you have a chargeback because you didn't put them in the best position. And someone like myself will.
And on top of it, this is a life. I shameless plug for annuities, right? Because that's what I do. But when you're doing it, you do it successfully. What I find when I talk to successful annuity agents anyway is that the commission side of it isn't really there. It's about building that relationship because now when they get that next inheritance or next payout or next large sum of money or they leave that job, they're looking for what to do with that 401k. Oh, who am I going to call? Oh, what was the guy that did the annuity thing for us? Oh yeah, that guy. Let's call him. He'll tell us what to do. I like him. So then they're going to pick up the phone and who are they going to call? They're going to call you guys, versus searching the internet or going to Facebook and saying, "Hey, who I need to purchase an annuity. Who has an annuity person?" So if you do it and you do it successfully and you're about them and you make it about them, and maybe you guys find it differently, but this is just what I find when I talk to my type producers is they don't care about the commission on the backside of it because they know they're going to get it from that sale. They've got two more that are sitting behind it, and they're having a conversation with that family's those people's kids, next week to talk about the job they just left, and they're 30 years old. So I mean it's a lifelong thing and it's an ever evolving thing. One last shameless plug for annuities is that there is no medical underwriting. So here's another great way that you were looking at, how do you bring it up? If you have them also where they've, maybe been declined for life insurance because of the medical aspect of it, this may be a great spot to pivot as well in saying, okay, well, we can get you some alternatives to life insurance by using annuity products. Do you already have some money set aside someplace in a 401k, in an inheritance, in an investment account, anything that we could tap into to kind of look at some of those alternative aspects of it. So then that's kind of another way to bring up that conversation as well.
It's awesome. Is there any other questions before we wrap this up? Just unmute.
Yeah, I got one more.
Hi, Brian, then Aiden.
the death benefit, is that taxable, or does it depend on whether it's qualified or non-qualified funds?
In the annuity space, it would be taxable. It'd be so if it's qualified funds, of course, they haven't paid taxes on any of it yet. So as soon as they start taking those distributions, depending on how they're taking those distributions, so we have next time I'm on, we have a product that talks about a 5-year payout on the death benefit. At that point, they would be charged only what they took out. So each year they would be taxed on 1/5 of the account going forward. If it's non-qualified, the only thing they're subject to is the taxes that have not been paid. So the interest, that's the only portion that would be taxable. It's not quite like life insurance, where life insurance would be non-taxable. So it does have a little bit different, but there's ways that we can usually spin it. So that way you can kind of either spread that tax burden out a little bit, or maybe you can just move it into a new annuity policy where they don't have as much tax burden.
Would it only
That's only
be
for
capital
withdrawals though,
gains?
right?
It's only taxed when it's withdrawn.
Would it only be
Okay,
capital
not
gains,
death.
or would there also be income tax?
I believe it's all taxed as regular income. I would get with a tax advisor.
Yeah, cool.
I'm really dumb when it comes to taxes, so
All good. And then Aiden, I know you had a question, bro.
Awesome. So say I like just got done setting up like a fully structured IUL. How would you then like pivot into telling them how an annuity has other benefits, or like where would that like I don't know.
I mean, any type of IUL clients you have, man, like they're going to be focused on, a couple things like financial security for the family, as well as for themselves long term, and building some tax-free retirement income. So that they're already retirement focused. Odds are they probably do have something else laying around. And if they see the value of the IUL and indexed universal life, they'll see the value of a fixed indexed annuity because it grows in the same fashion where it's a 0% floor, typically uncapped interest on the upside, or just, heavy participation rates in the market. So it's like, hey, if we can, take whatever account you had that's laying around. Sorry about that. And sorry, that threw me off. So if you have any type of money laying around that's just at risk of market loss, we could just roll that over tax-free, penalty-free from like an old 401k or something into a FIA, have it grow for them with no risk of losing it. Similar to the IUL where they can't lose anything in the market, can't lose anything in annuity.
Okay, fire. So pretty much just okay, you saw the value that you can't lose money over here. What if I could do that with all of your retirement type of thing?
Exactly, yeah. And then what if I could do a tax-free, penalty-free transfer where you don't have to actually withdraw any of it?
Fire, bro. Appreciate you.
All right, and then yeah, what's up, Ramel?
I had a client that they were just mentioning like, okay, I want to roll it over, but how soon could I withdraw from it? Was their question.
Yeah, so I mean, like Ellie showed, how they have the 10% free withdrawals, for example, on all the plus products in the Performance Elite 7. Even in the first year for the Performance Elite 7, you can take up to 10% of it with no charges whatsoever. And then with any of the Performance Elite Plus with that liquidity rider, if they don't take out anything in the first year or just any year, the following year they have up to 20% free withdrawals, no charges. So it's not like 100% liquid for them with no charges at all, but they do have a solid amount of liquidity compared to like even other annuity companies. Awesome. Any other questions?
Yeah, how do we get approved to sell annuities and then contract with Athene?
You text your admin, whoever it is, whether it's Kayleen or, whoever it might be. Just be like, hey, can you get me contracted with Athene? And it'll be that simple. Because once you have your life insurance license, you're licensed to sell annuities. It's not a special license or anything like that. So you're licensed to already sell annuities. You just have to get the contract with Athene. And like, are you contracted with NLG, Raiden?
Not yet. It's still pending.
Okay, yeah. So basically, if you get contracted with any of our companies that sell annuities, you can sell their products. Basically, with a best interest and suitability training, if you get that done, you'll be totally good to go, Brian. Yeah, it's no extra license. It's just a couple extra trainings. But yeah, text your admin and make sure you're contracted with NLG, Athene, F&G.
You don't need all the others. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, I just got F and G.
Last one.
Perfect answer there.
Oh shit, we got Larry on here. No way. All right,
If
yo, Larry, you
you're
didn't hear
selling
that.
anything other than F&G or Athene, then you're making a mistake. We'll just, how about we agree to that?
Thanks for throwing Athene in there. I really appreciate it.
You guys are still on with them for sure. Yeah.
Okay, Larry, how long you been on here, man?
Oh, just now because I forgot to ask you for the link, but then I found an old email and the link happened to be the same, so it worked.
There we go. Well, hey, man, you came at the right time then.
Perfect.
All right, guys, any other questions before we wrap this up?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome. Real quick, so say a client's under the age 59 and a half and say they have a Roth and they wanted to roll that over. Does IRS count that as a taxable event, or are the presets with the theme structured like a Roth IRA so they're not taxable?
We could do a tax-free transfer because they funded it with post-tax money anyway. So, I
Okay.
mean, if they were to withdraw it, they would get 10% federal penalties, like pay capital gains tax, whatever. But the thing is if we could definitely do a 1035 exchange from a Roth.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate it.
Fire. Any other questions at all? Now, John, we got Larry and Ellie on here, so now's the best time to ask any question you got.
Larry, what would you say makes F&G's annuity stand out?
I have no idea because I'm the life guy, so
I'll
we don't
tell
have
you
our
what makes
annuity
them stand out.
guys.
Basically, I'll answer that question actually pretty good. Athene doesn't necessarily allow you to put more money away into the products. Correct me
Yeah,
if I'm wrong,
we're
Ellie.
single premium. You got
Yeah.
it.
So F&G does have a product where you can put in up to, I believe, a minimum 2K a year after the funding of the policy. So if you have a client that wants to continue funding it after it was already set up, F&G would be the way to go. I think it's the Pro Performance Pro or something like
Performer
that.
Pro, yeah, I think. Yep.
Yeah.
Another
Yo,
question. I
Larry,
don't know
can
how
you
I
drop
didn't.
your number?
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
All right, Michael,
Another
you're good.
question. I don't know
Ask
how I
a question.
didn't. Not sure I didn't remember this earlier. So I actually have a client I was talking to who potentially he has $4 million sitting in a 401k that he might want to roll over into an annuity. I saw that the limit on the 7 Elite was $1 million. I think when I was running the Illustrator, it was $2 million. So like, what are my options with a client that has that sum of cash?
I mean, we could
So
do two
we can
different
actually
annuities.
we can actually go higher than 2 million. Actually, we can go higher than 1 million. I can take it all the way up to, if you're in a plus version, I get capped a little bit, but if you're in the base version, I can go, I mean, all the way up to 100 million if you want to. The reason why they cap
Shit.
it or they say that it's on there that's capped, it's because they actually want you to have to pick up the phone and talk to us when you get to those levels. Because anything over 2 million with Athene is going to go through a large case review. So we have to have everybody kind of jump in and sit down and have a conversation. I'm working on a $35 million performance elite right now,
Jesus Christ.
which like hopefully it goes through because that tops us out at the largest one I've ever actually been able to put through.
It's a nice commission.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want that?
It's
Like,
decent. I mean, it's
Yeah, it's all
decent.
right.
I'm sure the kids will be able to eat if we actually get the deal closed. Like, it'll be fine. They won't starve anymore, right? So that's what they think anyway. But I mean, so we can definitely take more. It's just that they want us to have a conversation with you because after $2 million, potentially depending on the product, we're going to start maybe looking at backing down commissions. So like my $35 million deal that I have right now, they're getting 100% commission up to, I think it's $5 million. And then after 5, we're going to step it back to 75% comp up to like 15 million, I think. And then it's going to drop down again. So 15 to 35, I think it drops to 50%. Still, I mean, the kids are still going to be able to eat, right? So it's still going to be a very nice commission check for the person, but we will start backing it down once we get to a certain level. So usually that's going to be what's going to happen is your commission levels are going to drop, and then we don't give you access to illustrate it because they want us to illustrate it for you. So we kind of talk through those options and what that large case is going to look like. So I can definitely take way more than the $1 million mark. So if you do have that and you want help with it, feel free to reach out.
Sick.
Got it.
I'll throw my direct line in there as well.
Oh, please
That would
do.
be great.
All right, awesome. Yeah. What's up, Jessica?
That other guy, I don't know what his name was. He asked about the IRA. Is that also for Roth IRAs?
That was actually his question about the Roth, but you could do either one.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Hey, well, I'm gonna stay on here and save this contact here, but I think we're wrapped up. Does anybody have any last questions or anything? Perfect. Hey, well, I wanted to say, first of all, thank you so much, Ellie, for hopping on with us. That was
Yeah,
very
for sure.
valuable. If you're up to it, we can do something in 2 weeks. You can go over the Ascent Pro bonus.
Yeah, perfect. I'll
Awesome.
throw it on my calendar. Link gonna be the
Cool.
same. Sounds like
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
thing.
same one. This one.
Perfect. I'll just throw it on my calendar. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. Thank you, Ellie, and shout out Larry for hopping on.
Thank you.
All right. Hey,
Thank
God
you.
bless everybody.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you guys.